Hello my dear friends, your host Shurma here. Welcome back to my art channel. Though for my new friends who are visiting for the first time, a very warm welcome to you all. Today we are going to paint a blue rose. If you would like, you can always paint along with me as it is not going to be a very difficult technique. Supplies needed for today's tutorial are all listed over here. So let's begin with the first chapter, selecting a base for the painting. So here you can see a small piece of paper which is already having a painted background and some paints around it, and of course there are some brushes too. Here is a little piece of watercolor paper which is square and 3.5 inches on all sides. And I've already painted it beforehand just to create some textured background. Acrylic colors bottles and tubes with brushes along with it, and here is a little bowl of a retarding solution along with a little cup of plain water. I would be using the decorative style or stroke style of painting for creating today's blue rose. Now here are some samples of decorative style or stroke style of painting. These are some note cards which I had created earlier, and there are video tutorials for creating all of these in my channel. I would be speaking more about the stroke painting method as we move forward in the video. Let's move on to chapter number 2, that is painting the blue rose. So here I have the textured bit of square paper, and here is the palette for the painting. Let's go through the brushes first. So here are some flat brushes, number 5, 4 and 3. The next one is an angular brush. Next is the filbert brush. It has an interesting tip, followed by a liner brush and a thick round brush, though I may not be using all of them. I go ahead and pick up my flat brush number 4, and I am loading it with light blue, cerulean blue and white acrylic color. I pick up all the 3 colors on the 2 corners of the flat brush number 5. And as you can see, I'm trying to blend the colors very well, and that is really important when I'm trying to use the decorative or stroke style of painting. Now before I paint the blue rose directly on the textured paper, I would like to show you the strokes on a scratch piece of paper. And that will be only the initial part of the rose so that you can see very clearly how I create the strokes. So I go ahead and pick up the flat brush number 4 and I load it with cerulean blue, and I just paint a very loose form of the rose. Next I bring in my flat brush number 4, which has cerulean blue, light blue and white on it. And this is how I begin painting the blue rose. My new friends who have joined me for the first time today, hope you can have a good look at the strokes which I am trying to create. My older friends have already seen me doing this in all my past videos. So as you can see, decorative painting, stroke painting, or a very close technique, which is also called one-stroke painting, is an interesting decorative painting technique that involves loading a brush with one or more separate colors and achieving shading, highlighting, blending in a single stroke movement. Look how fast the inner portion of the rose has been created with this technique, and you can see them so clearly. Now, I would be continuing from here on the textured piece of paper. Hope you have been able to follow the method of creating the petals with stroke painting technique. So here is the central part of the rose which I've already created. I go ahead from that point. I continue using the flat brush number 4, and remember I have 3 colors on it: cerulean blue, light blue, and white acrylic color. Here I am trying to create the side petals. Now please remember that I do not have a sketch here which I can follow, and there's no guide either. So it is all trial and error method. I have to see what looks good and what does not, and I have to keep blending and shading till I'm happy with the result. And also I need to create the petals proportionately to match the rest of the painting. Here I'm trying to highlight that petal with more of white on one corner of the flat brush number 4. These are the petals below the bowl of the rose. If you would like to know more about stroke painting or decorative painting, then I would recommend that you please visit my past videos, and you will get a very clear idea of this particular painting technique. I'm trying to create some interesting parts by folding the petal at certain points. Well, here I'm trying to highlight the lower petal and blend the colors well, adding more of white to that corner, and I would be creating another fold here. There you go. Could you see that clearly? I feel these little things will be able to make the flower painting a little more interesting. Don't you think so? With the flower done, let's paint the greenery now. So here are some of the colors which I would be using. But first, let me bring in the brushes. Basically, I would be using the same brush set which I used for creating the blue rose. So here is the palette where you can see white acrylic and deep green along with bamboo green and olive green. And I have picked up those colors on a flat brush number 4 again. I need to blend the colors very well, and this is a very important factor for the decorative painting technique. Now, before I go on to create the leaves, I have picked out my flat brush number 3 with bamboo green on it. And I'm just trying to cover some of the areas around the blue rose. So here I'm trying to create some background for the leaves. I also use my finger to smudge the colors at times, just to smoothen out the harsh edges. So I find little corners to fill with that bamboo green color, and that is where I'm going to create the leaves as well. At this point, I bring in my flat brush number 5, and remember I have dark green, olive green, white and a tad bit of light blue on it to create the first leaf in decorative or stroke style of painting. So, do you like the painting so far, my dear friends? And how about the leaves? Are they interesting? And if you really find them good, then please let me know in the comment box below. I would be very happy to read your comments and of course your suggestions as well. And if you have any queries regarding this particular painting, the technique or in general, I would be glad to help. And remember, I love to read all your comments. Your observations give me an insight and also help me to decide how to go about my next painting so that it is of help to you. So here I go on a painting spree with the leaves, and once I'm happy with the placement, I go ahead and bring in my liner brush with a bit of dark green on it, and I'm creating the veins of the leaves. I go ahead and add a bit of white to the veins, and that brings about some depth to the leaves. Here I'm trying to create a stem to the rose with dark green and a bit of olive. The stem needs to be crooked and not a straight line to make it appear a little more natural. I'm still using my liner brush. Next I'll bring in my brown acrylic color. I pick up some of it on my liner brush and I'm going to line the stems again with brown acrylic color. Some more little stems here and there and some white highlights on them, as you can see. That will help to create light and shadow effect on the stems. Some more stems at the side. Back to the highlights. This is a round brush and I'm going to pick up some white on it to create little daisies around the blue rose. These little daisies can act as fillers in just any floral painting. They brighten up the painting and also fill in the blank spaces. And they're easy to make, aren't they? What do you think? Try them on your floral paintings as well. You will see how quickly they brighten up a floral painting and also help to create a happy bunch of flowers. Now here I am going to suggest some daisy buds, so I won't be creating the entire flower. You can't see all the petals at all, just couple here and there. Next I go ahead and bring in some brown color on my liner brush to create the flower centers and also to connect the daisies to the rest of the bunch. Here I bring in my yellow acrylic color on a liner brush and add some dots to the center of the daisies. Another round of brown. Okay, so it's time to bring in the angular brush with olive green and white on it. Now with this brush, I would like to create some little leaves, slanted leaves here and there, to add a little more interest to the painting. There's hardly any space in this little piece of paper, but I'm trying to create a happy bunch. Let's see if I can do it well. So this angular brush is helpful in creating these little leaves, as you can see. And they're very different from the bigger leaves which I have already painted. And there you go, the painting is done. So here is how the painted panel looks so far. And I think it is a happy painting. Well, I took the painted panel and created a note card out of it, and this is the final look. I also went ahead and added a little sentiment which says, "Embrace yourself." So dear friends, we have come to the end of today's tutorial. I hope you enjoyed watching me create the blue rose on this little note card. And definitely I would be looking forward to hearing from you. So do not forget to comment in the box below. And as always, thank you very much for watching till the end. Also, please connect with me on my social media handles. Would be a great pleasure to be in touch with you. We'll be back soon with more interesting painting videos. Till then, do take care of yourself and bye-bye.